Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Convention with the Bleed Comic Roundup. We covered last week's comics yesterday and started on this week's. So now let's keep going through this week's. Kicking things off, we've got Avengers Forever, number 14. Where we left off in Avengers Assemble, the combined prehistoric and modern Avengers teams had arrived at the God Quarry to help fend off the Council of Red, which the tide against them seems to be turning fairly well as, well, all the Dooms. Also, Avenger Prime was revealed to be none other than a variant of Loki. So this issue, our narration is a letter being written by one of the Steves. But additional reinforcements have arrived. The tide seems to be turning, or at the very least, it's a lot. The assembled army of Avengers is standing much easier against all of the Dooms. But you get things like one of the Steves using Mjolnir. And getting complimented for the good work by 616 Cap. Captain Carter then telling 616 Cap to maintain formation, and him saying, "Ma'am, yes, ma'am." Invincible Ant-Man meeting Iron Man, and being shocked there'd be another Tony Stark there. And I probably got sober for this. And 616 Tony saying, "You were drunk. That explains it. Only reason I'd ever become Ant-Man." Apparently, and Ant-Man adds, "I hate myself for how much I like you right now," which is apparently spoken like the most Tony of all the Tonys. But even the combined might of Thor, his granddaughters, and his father, Odin, is not enough to just, wipe Doom out completely. I mean, it helps. And Doom, the Living Planet, takes a few hits, especially courtesy of Star Panther. Namor tells Loki that if this is another scheme of his. Well, look, Namor will destroy him. Old Man Phoenix and Echo work together with Star Panther to take on Doom the Living Planet and seem to do a decent amount of damage to it. But Mephisto is not completely routed, and, well, he's just shown to Thor, God of Fists, Nighthawk, and one of the Carols that, well, he's still there to become the end of everything. And that is where the issue ends. I'm really digging this crossover. I really am. And this is one of those things that it wouldn't work anywhere. Even with camera tricks, this is the kind of thing that you really can't do outside of a comic book, or at least not visually. In a video game, sure, but even then, it gets confusing if you've got 20 Thors in a video game. Well, if you're controlling a Thor, if they all, you have to make sure they all look they're all notably different. And I mean, like, that's one of the things with Steve's is that yes, they all have the same visual look, but there's enough different. There are enough differences with each one. We're like, okay, all right, I can pick out differences. But even then, it's just like, yeah. Anyway, it's a fun story. I really love it. Moving on to our next book, we've got Invincible Iron Man #3. Where we left off, someone's been attacking Tony, rather covertly, and has in fact killed the person he installed as a redundancy to his own desire to not to pull Stark Industries out of the weapons making business. So we get a flashback. First off, it's rules of suicide caused by a repulsor weapon. We get a flashback to years ago during Armor Wars when Tony recruited let me see. This most recent victim of Tony's enemies. But like I said, it's during Armor Wars, and Tony had to deal with a group called the Raiders. But the next morning, he did manage to seal the deal and get the guy to come to Stark Industries. Kind of, someone who's going to value the red blood of people over the red ink. But Tony and Rhodey break into Stark Industries to figure out what's going on, with Tony explaining that someone kidnapped Living Laser made him think it was Tony. And they find a lab. Inside is what appears to be an LMD of Tony in an Iron Man suit. But Tony notes that there are things that shouldn't be on the armor. Someone's been hacking his tech. And it's a really good LMD also. But it goes up and Tony has an idea who's behind all this now, and he needs to go start an international incident. And that is where the issue ends. So who's behind it all? It's Fei Long. So far, it's looking good. Tony states at one point in the issue that since someone tried to poison him at the last time he went to an AA meeting, he's taking some time away from meetings, but he is gonna remedy that and reinforce the anonymous side of it, or the anonymous part. Moving on to our next book, we've got Wasp #2. Where we left off in this miniseries celebrating the 60th anniversary of founding Avenger the Wasp, Whirlwind attacked the Wasps for the first time in years. When they defeated him, there was a message left on. Apparently, there was a message for them carved into his forehead saying, "Find me." And it turns out it looks like the creature that killed Janet Van Dyke's father is responsible for sending Whirlwind after Janet and Nadia. But the two of them pool what information they have, including here information of a group called Whisper, which is kind of the black ops group that other black ops group have nightmares about. But there was something just apparently formic acid on one of the blades, which leads Jan to realize it's possibly Cosmo that's involved. The creature that killed her father. They follow the trail of the chemical, end up fighting a bunch of robot wasps, which are very promptly taken down by Jan and Nadia. And realizing that yes, they're walking into a trap, well, they spring it. And there is Cosmo, and he commands them to look at it, and they seemingly vanish. And that is where the issue ends. So, I'm digging these 30th anniversary minis based on Ant-Man and Wasp. The Ant-Man one was fun. Nice little nod to all of our all the Ant-Mans, including and introducing a new one. Wouldn't mind seeing some. I feel like we kind of already saw something similar back during War of the Realms and the Giant Men miniseries, but anyway. Moving on to our next book, we've got X-Men number 19. I know what you're thinking. Didn't we do X-Men? Didn't we already do the X-Men books? Yes, but look at the title. It's Avengers with special guests, the X-Men. So where we left off for the X-Men, Corsair, Cyclops, Havoc, and Vulcan's father had been impregnated with a brood and sent us a distress call to the X-Men. So we open with a not in the treehouse, but likely on Krakoa. Forge and Monet are going through a gate that wasn't set up to go to. It was to go basically on the other side is nowhere. Apparently, it was through time travel shenanigans they were able to put a gate in nowhere before it fell into a black hole. And so now, Forge and Monet are going to see what's on the other, what they can see, since the gate is apparently still active. Meanwhile, the X-Men have arrived at the coordinates of Corsair's distress call. Talon, the older Laura Kinney, Sync and Cyclops go with Cyclops to rescue Corsair, while Firestar, Iceman, Jean, and Magic, well, they're dealing with the Brood. They find Corsair looking like he's about to give birth, and in the xenomorph kind of fashion, but Sync and Talon are able to remove the embryo and destroy it. But, well, they need to get Corsair out of there and keep him from falling apart. So, Sync is kind of focusing on keeping Corsair in one piece, while Talon and Cyclops deal with getting them out of there. Corsair is when he was bait for the trap. That, well, they're all in now. Back with Forge and Monet, they end up having an out-of-body experience, but they go to look through one of the viewports and see something that no one from their universe has ever seen. And that is where the issue ends. issues. There's a reason this is with the Avengers books. Captain Marvel and X-Men are gearing towards a crossover between the two. There's a crossover gearing up between X-Men and Captain Marvel, continuing from Captain Marvel's Revenge of the Brood story arc, which continues in our next book, Captain Marvel number 46. Captain Marvel responds to a distress call from Rogue in deep space. She took some backup with her in the form of Hazmat, Spider-Woman, two of her closest friends, as well as the X-Men Polaris, Psylocke, Wolverine, and Rogue's husband, Gambit. It also turns out that the Brood likely have Carol's energy double binary. So the Brood do. So but our heroes have split up with Psylocke, Spider-Woman, and Captain Marvel going one way to find binary, while Hazmat, Wolverine, Polaris, and Gambit go the other to try and find an escape. That means of getting out. They find binary, but at the other side of the station, the other team is dealing with Brood. Lots and lots of Brood. And apparently Wolverine, Laura, is Polaris' favorite thing to throw. But they've got a plan. Polaris puts a force field on herself and Gambit, while Hazmat lets loose, and adding to it, Wolverine puts the Brood through the patented Wolverine Ginsu. It slices it, dices it, purees. All that fun shit. Since Wolverine will survive from the exposure to Hazmat's radiation. And then this leads to a massive explosion. And that is where the issue ends. I'm eager to see where how, aside from, X-Men and Captain Marvel fighting the Brood, is going to, how the two books' stories are going to merge, but it's a fun ride so far. And Dugan and Thompson's writing styles complement each other well, so that does make for a good potential crossover. Anyway, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.